So the analytics collection we're going to be talking about, I'm just going to run through it kind of quickly, but we'll go back over it as well, any aspects of it, and if there's anything that you want to ask about. And I made use of the time that I had while we were waiting. I just needed to do something to occupy my time, so I started thinking, well, what kind of personas would be, each of these courses? What would be like the ideal student or the person most likely to do each of these courses? And so I might just go through that. I created some rough notes, but it's based on experience that I have, that might make it a little bit easier. So it'll be a good summary for this. So what is a data analyst? Because all these are all data courses. They're all essentially about doing the same thing. It's just coming at it from different perspectives and doing it in more detail or less detail, more focus on the visual side, more focus on data. But ultimately, it's all about a data analyst. And a data analyst is someone who's essentially, you've got data that's, it doesn't mean anything by itself. Some of it's not relevant. Some of it needs to be clarified and needs to be connected to other things. That's on one side. And on the other side, you have decisions that need to be made. You need clarity about situations. And a data analyst is the person that's in between those two things. So you're trying to take what data you have, try to identify what data you don't have, which is one of the real tricks of the trade is, as a data analyst, is being able to know what you don't know and what you should be able to find out if you had different data or better data or whatever it is. So the analytics collection kind of plays into the fact that we've got people that are looking at this from different perspectives that have different needs, but are all essentially going towards the same direction of being that person in between. And so we have two different streams. One is the code stream and one is the no code stream. The no code is using platforms. Some of them you will be familiar with, and being able to use those platforms to be able to do data analysis. Coding courses are more advanced. They're relying on code to be able to manipulate that data. They give you more flexibility, but it's not always so easy to kind of differentiate between the two, about which one you should do, because they're constantly evolving. I mean, these platforms, the likes of Tableau and Power BI and Excel, always evolving. Sometimes there's capabilities that to be able to do that kind of analytics, you have to be able to code. And then a week later, it's been added as a feature to one of those platforms. So it's not as easy as you might think it would be. So there's just a sense of where we are in terms of where these different courses lie. You can see that we have the stream at the top, which is the no code stream, data analysis without coding, advanced Excel, both courses that I've created, and are really good courses for exploring lots of different aspects of data analysis. Not only the technical skills, being able to use the platforms that are contained within them. Obviously, advanced Excel is Excel. Data analysis without coding covers three platforms: Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. And those platforms, you need to get the lay of the land. You need to know where the buttons are for each one and what kind of features they have and how do you use them, and what's the best way, the most efficient, especially for the advanced Excel, which is a deep dive into how do I be really effective with this platform and really efficient. And you can see that like neither of those touch on foundation, but they start off with data cleaning and manipulation, and they move into data visualization, but not modeling and learning. Now you could make the argument that there's some degree of modeling and learning within those, but that's not our focus here. Our focus is on the bringing the data in, cleaning it, manipulating it, and visualizing. Whereas the coding courses give us a much wider breadth of what we can actually do. So we have a course in Python, which is the foundation, giving you that foundational knowledge of that coding language. You've got data fundamentals. I didn't create it, but I created the initial plan for it, and it's a good course that covers again what the practical needs are for people that would do that type of course. And I'll go into the details in a minute for each of these. The data analytics, visualization. You're using coding to be able to do the things that you can learn to do in the data analysis without coding, using platforms. Why would you use a coding code rather than no code? Well, it gives you more flexibility with visualizations. Modeling and learning, then you're into that's only coding. So data analytics, machine learning allows you to model data, create data models, and be able to learn, have computers learn from the data. So a very quick run through of the no coding. That's the data analysis without coding in the advanced Excel. Data analysis without coding, perfect if you want to have those analytical skills, but not, you don't want to be able to learn how to code. and you're able to use those popular platforms that are probably already being used in your organization or being used by professionals within your profession in other organizations, and therefore it would be good for you to maybe you might be thinking that you'd like to start using those, and it allows you to find insights for your organization. Advanced Excel. The whole purpose of this course is you may already be using Excel to some degree, but you want to be a master of it. You want to be able to use it as a tool in a way that is, you know, how you should use a tool, which is that it's effortless, that you know exactly how to be really efficient and effective using the tool. That it's not simply you're just using Excel, but you what you would learn from this course is that you would be someone who is an expert at it, who can wield it as a master. And there's a little bit of AI in it as well in terms of automating, but it's really about the practical aspects of using all of the capabilities that Excel has in an efficient and effective way. Data
Mark,
analysis. Yep, sorry.
sorry, can I just ask a few comments here? Is there a significant overlap between those two courses in terms of
Um,
what's covered in Excel?
yeah, interesting. So there's a limit because we only really have 2 weeks, 2 classes worth of Excel within the data analysis without coding. So it's pretty basic. It's you can't go into detail on anything, but it is giving people a general sense of Excel and a
Okay.
little bit on cleaning and things that are useful for then using Power BI and Tableau. But yeah, it's a good question. It's not obviously you can't get into as much detail with Excel within that course, whereas
Okay, thanks.
Advanced Excel is a deep dive. Okay, so data analysis without coding, these are the learning outcomes. You will identify common issues with data, you'll rectify simple problems. A lot of it is actually not even just using the tools, but even what you should be even thinking about when you're using those tools. I mean, what is a good, what's clean data? What's wrong with a particular data set that we have to clean it. What being able to identify that there's missing data. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not so obvious. There might be really good analysis that you can do later on if you were to add extra data from a different source or things like that. It's critical thinking. Being able to apply basic statistical concepts to get those insights using Excel to perform simple cleanup, dashboard, data visualizations, all basic, but again, that ground floor knowledge that you need. And then using Tableau and Power BI to do the same. The assessment is 30% quizzes, and it's just weekly quizzes. And then we've got an assignment report and Excel file. So basically, the way it works here is that you do. Sorry, that might have actually. I think that's wrong. I think it's the other way around. Sorry, this might be wrong. Off the top of my head, I think the assessment is actually an Excel project and then a project using either Power BI or Tableau. I'll have to double check that. I'm not sure if it changed. But yeah, it basically practical assessment, giving you a lot of freedom. That was the fundamental thing because we had a previous course that was similar to this, and it told you what data sets to use and it told you what to look for. This course, fundamentally, the most important thing you have to understand is it's giving you space to kind of learn and go in whichever direction you want within those platforms. And the assessments are built for that give you that freedom to choose what data set you use, what you want to do with that data set. Yeah, I won't go through the breakdown, just to give you a general idea that basically it is, in a sense, data literacy, knowledge at a high level, understanding data and how to communicate data. It's a little bit of Excel, it's Power BI, it's Tableau. It's really the kind of the most important aspects of all of those rather than lots of detail. Advanced Excel, the learning outcomes are apply suitable data types for common scenarios, how to navigate. The navigation and manipulation is like literally the whole idea of that is, can you use keyboard shortcuts? Can you be really efficient? If you see like a master of Excel, they're moving around the workbook and they're manipulating data at breakneck speed. That's the kind of thing we would be hoping that people take away from that. There's a unit on that navigation and manipulation, but it's also then embedded throughout the rest of the course that you would be expected to get used to. It's kind of like if you go back to when you first learned to type, everyone was using two fingers, a finger on each hand. You had to force yourself to use multiple fingers and you were slower at the beginning. The course is trying to encourage people to take that step back, be a little bit slower for the beginning, so that by the end of the course, you've learned all these different shortcuts and you're just a master. You're flying around the software. This is assessed with 20% quizzes where You get 10 MCQs at the every week on the learning management system. And you just, if you pass that, that's fine. Every week you just pass the quiz and you get 2 attempts at it. And that's your 20%. And then the final project then is it's kind of open to you to decide what data set you want to use and what's the purpose of it. But essentially you're doing a deep dive in analysis of something or solving a problem using Excel. So very practical. Yeah, and the requirements for this are, if you have a Microsoft account, you can actually use Excel through the browser or having access to Excel through Microsoft Office. Database fundamentals. So this is a coding course. It's not a huge amount of code that's involved in it, but there is some code that you learn with it, and you're learning SQL, or SQL. So you're identifying common database technologies and key concepts. You're trying to understand the basic principles of ethical privacy and fair data in database management, which is a large area at the moment. You're installing, configuring, managing, and maintaining relational databases. You're applying the SQL language to manipulate and query databases for operating to good standards, and you're working with other database systems. So there's a little bit of non-relational databases within this course as well, which makes it very much up to date. This is one of the more up-to-date courses that's out there on this because of that. And there was 2 units on non-relational databases at the end. So if you've got a specific focus on databases, and I'll give you a persona in a minute of someone I know actually that's transitioned into it. It's a good example. That one might be the way to go. So yeah, it's a coding, but I've kind of left it just before the coding section because it's not like all coding. It's not as kind of as involved in terms of coding as the other 3, which are Python programming, data analytics, visualization, data analytics, machine learning. So let's start with Python programming. So if you know coding at all, this is a great start. It'll give you that bedrock or that foundation knowledge for you to be able to do analytics and lots of other things using Python. So it's trying to get that fundamental knowledge in place. How to create reusable code using functions, how to demonstrate an understanding of Boolean logic. As a Cork man, big fan of that because Boolean logic was created by Boole, who's was a Cork man and as a statue in UCC actually. Demonstrate a clear understanding of how to use different data structures to store and manipulate information, and so on. And so the final project then is, you're basically doing these weekly exercises that don't count towards the final grade, but you also have this final project that's open to you to take what you've learned and to apply it. It's all very practical. And this is the outline of it. You've got Python basics, functions, conditionals, and loops, data structures, all the basics that you need to know to be able to do any sort of Python. Yeah, so I'll just jump on to the next one. So data analytics visualization. So before you ask the question, I mean, it's an obvious one. Why would you do this if you can learn visualization in the no coding courses? What's the purpose of this? Well, it's because you're doing a deep dive on visualization, and because it's coding, there's coding involved in it. You're using Python, you're using the different libraries like Matplotlib and Seaborn and so on. You have a lot of flexibility in how you create those visualizations. I think to explain this, it might be best to use the persona of someone I know that would be a good example for this at the end. In terms of assessments, it's again, we've got these weekly exercises, but they're all just they're all formative assessments. They're just to help you in terms of your learning. It's 100% final project based, and it's very practical. Yeah, so just skipping a little bit. So the machine learning, this is where you're into the AI, using AI for data analytics. There's all these different libraries. This is again a coding course. It's the supervisors, unsupervised learning, different ways of using AI and your coding knowledge as the tool to be able to do an analysis of data. And this is again a very up-to-date course. It's just been updated. And there's a lot of stuff in here that's really cutting edge. And again, the final assessment is 100%. The weekly exercises are just formative learning. They don't count towards that final grade. And it's all very practical. So it's a really good course. Introduction to machine learning. If you know nothing about machine learning, it'll ease you into it. It's not like a really complex course or anything. Advanced statistical learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, all different types of machine learning, AI stuff. But again, it's not like really complex. It's just giving you a sense of how to use these different libraries and be able to use AI to be able to do an analysis. So is this yours, Gary, or?
Sorry, Mark, I was just coming off mute there as well. Possibly, the next section would like to be myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Gary. I'm actually one of the education consultants here that obviously would consult regarding these courses. And thanks, Mark, for your overview on the courses. I always find I always take something from, even from your own presentations often as well. But just to give you, I suppose, an overview of what you can expect and how the course is going to be delivered across the multiple formats here. So I'll just start from the top and I'll work my way down as well. So in terms of them all, they're all part-time live courses. So the way this is delivered, first of all, it's a live course that you're going to get to online, but it's live recorded also. So as Antonio might have mentioned in our last session there as well, like the ability to that, it allows you to, obviously, just in case you were ever to miss a class, it's great that it allows you to obviously watch it back. But what we're finding is in past students, especially for our courses, which are very much skills-based and practical-based, it allows you actually for that additional revision in your own time. So if there is something you want to look back over in a class, or if there's maybe something you felt like you've missed, you have the ability to go back over that as well. So that's a kind of an overview of how they're supposed to deliver in that way. But for our data analysis without coding, for the advanced Excel and for the database fundamentals, as I said, they're all delivered over 12 weeks. It's one session per week over 12 weeks. So it's 1 3-hour lecture. And these are all based on evening classes. So they're the way they're delivered. Now, in terms of the Python programming, it's slightly different. It's obviously, yes, it's still part-time live learning, so you have all the benefits of our live learning, but this is a much shorter course. It's a 6-week course, but basically it's a 1 class per week over 6 weeks. So there's a 2-hour class. Now, you'll also notice by these classes as well, and this is the way we do it here in the Professional Academy, is that they're very much short-term courses, but with high impact there as well. So even in that short space of time, it's really kind of setting you up for your next steps in your own career, or even within your own role, is such like that there as well, but having any of these particular courses as well. But just finally then as well, regarding our data analytics, visualization and machine learning, this is very much the same, but it's delivered over 8 weeks. But these are delivered in much shorter classes. This is 1-hour classes over 1 day per week as well. So they're delivered as evening classes. The ability there is that it's nice that you're not taking up too much of your time just to attend the classes there as well, but you're going to get a high impact even from over the 8 weeks as well. And that obviously covers across the full plethora of courses that's there. In terms of, I suppose, the next kind of follow-up, and I might actually get you to move on to the next slide if possible there, Mark, as well for that. And I can also absolutely, if what you like, if I can answer any of your questions there at the end, I just will have a bit of a Q&A if that's possible. I can answer your question back there from, I believe, from John there. So just to kind of give you, I suppose, an overview in terms of the payment plans with ourselves, because we obviously can appreciate, upfront payments can be quite tough, especially with kind of the economic turndown as well. We're trying to make it easier for our students to access these courses as well. So in terms of initial enrollment, there's only actually a 10% deposit which is required to actually secure your enrollment in an intake with ourselves. And that includes for the next current intake or any of our future intakes as well. So if you are maybe possibly looking at doing the course as soon as possible, or maybe if it's maybe for one of our later courses this year, obviously it's only going to cost you 10%. But what we do is, and it's probably more so based because all of our courses are part-time live delivered, the middle section here is probably the most applicable. So within that there, you're only actually, within the 30 days of starting your course, you're only actually expected to pay a remaining 40% off the course itself. And then within the 30 days after starting your course is the final remaining fee. So you can see there the way we kind of broke it down into basically a student payment plan that makes it a lot more easy and accessible for our students to access these as well overall. And obviously, depending if you're working maybe with a company that maybe we're looking to invoice this for you, that's absolutely no problem at all. Any of our consultants, if it's either myself or my team that would work with myself, we'll guide you on directions for that. But just, I suppose, to highlight maybe the obvious there as well, and it's just a big, I suppose, it's a massive thanks for attending the webinar here today. And hopefully you've really gotten a lot from what even Mark has mentioned there as well, and hopefully even a little bit from what I've mentioned just regarding delivery and obviously just maybe the breakdown as well. But we are offering a 15% discount on our courses here at the moment. Now, from what I've been told, this is actually going to be usable up until the end of October. So if you are looking to maybe book in last minute for maybe our September courses, which some of them are in very, very, very last stages, you can still get benefit off that 15% discount. Or if it's maybe one of the later intakes, whether it's for October or for November, which is our final intakes for the year, you'll be able to avail of a 15% discount as such. But if you are looking to avail of that, you will need to have used it by or enrolled by the end of October, as such like that there as well. So hopefully that will be obviously support even further the price of the courses, and everything I just said about there in terms of the breakdown is broken down on the newer price as well. So again, it just makes it even more feasible as such like that there as well. And yeah, what we'll do is there, it might have been even mentioned in our last session there as well, but just on our final slide here that we have, I suppose it's just in terms of downloading of our brochure. So if any of these courses that Mark has mentioned, such like that there as well, throughout our session are of interest to you, we do have our QR code there to allow you to download our brochure. This will give you very much just a top line overview with our course as well, but our consultants will then be in touch with you and follow up on any questions that you might have had, even if there's something that like maybe we just haven't got to cover in enough depth or detail with you there today as such. But hopefully what Mark's done here for today has done a fantastic job, even from my side of things as well, in terms of giving you a very much a good overview of the course. But there's the code there now, and maybe we'll just leave it at that and that on the screen. And if you'd like to, you're more than welcome to scan down the QR code, or if for any reason you can't use the QR code, don't hesitate. You're more than welcome to go onto our website. And there, if you select the actual course intake that's of preference to you, you'll see quite a big button there. It'll say download brochure, and that will be passed to one of our education consultants who will be in touch with you within the coming days as well to answer your next steps and next questions. So that pretty much covers pretty much for myself. What I'll do is here we'll maybe open it for a bit of a Q&A. I'll just maybe answer maybe one of the questions here that would have come in. Gary, you have any similar material slides you could share regarding the digital business analytics course? Yes, we can absolutely share you on some additional detail if you'd like to. What we can do is that I can actually share with you the course syllabus and overview, which will give you a great indication of what you can expect over the weeks of that course and the benefits and outcomes of each of them modules as well. But also it'll show you the assessments throughout that course. So really what it's doing, it's setting you up for success because you know the next step before you've even taken it. And it just gives you that confidence going into the class and knowing what you can expect. So hopefully that maybe just answered your question for that front, John, as well, overall. But you're more than welcome. I'm not sure if the guys are able to come off mute. If anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask it out, or you can maybe type it into our chat here as such. That's pretty much most from myself. Hopefully that's been a benefit to you.
Thanks, Gary. It's John here. You answered that. Yeah. Can you email that to me, Gary? Sorry to get into the weeds of that now, but how do I get it?
Absolutely. So what I can do is there for you. If you'd like to, you're more than welcome to download it from our website there as well. It'll create a brochure. But what we can do is here for you, John.
Gotcha. No, I have your brochure. I have your brochure from your website.
You have the brochure. Yeah. Perfect. What I'll do is there, we'll organise either myself or one of my consultancy team, who's obviously just will be assigned to actually send you that course syllabus and overview as well. And give a link in their email, and we'll give you that full breakdown of the course.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. No problem at all, John.
Okay, so we're just waiting for more questions to go into the chat. It might be a good idea for me to just very basically run through the kind of personas, I think, for each course. Now, it's not that it's just going to be this type of person only that this course is useful for, but it's just that's who I think is like a typical person who would target that particular one. So maybe for data analysis without coding is a good example to start with. Based on the kinds of people that have done that course and have taken a lot from it, I would say, maybe someone like a Sarah, who's a mid-level manager, someone who's in a non-technical company or non-tech company. She finds herself having to interpret data for making decisions. She's not tech savvy, no interest in coding. And the reason she might choose this is because it focuses on tools that she's familiar with, or at least she might have the entry-level familiarity of Excel, which then means that it's easy for her to learn a little bit more from it, and then use that within Tableau and Power BI. Someone needs to be that's an example there. Someone that basically, whether her company's already using Power BI or Tableau, and it's comfortable, and she just needs it as a practical tool. Advanced Excel, I'd say the persona would be someone like John. He'd be a financial analyst for a company. He's been using Excel for years, probably for very specific use cases, and feels that there's more potential in the software. There's a lot more he can do with it if he had the skills and if he had the time to learn how to do things properly. Again, that's like that one finger approach you're typing on a keyboard compared to using all your fingers. He always wanted to be able to use it more efficiently and more effectively. He wants to maximize that, and he also wants to be able to deepen his knowledge and be able to tap into some of the features, especially the AI stuff that's coming in Excel is very dynamic as software. There's new features being added all the time. Even just connecting with the Python, in the last couple of weeks, Microsoft have made Python available within Excel, that you can actually use Python to make Excel more effective. So it's blurring the lines all the time, the way these these software packages are developing. But the advanced Excel is a great way to find out how do I use it in a way that a master of Excel uses it. How do I become really good at it in terms of solving practical problems? And there's two modules within, or 2 units within the advanced Excel course that are about bringing your problems or your challenges or opportunities to the class. And basically they're workshops. You work it out as a group with the lecturer guiding it, and how to actually be able to solve that problem or whatever it is. For database fundamentals, it might be someone who, let's say Lisa, who's an aspiring database administrator, and she works as IT support staff, and she wants to transition into database management. She would be someone who's an absolute beginner in the coding world, but she knows that it's important that she's able to understand databases, or at least the fundamentals of databases for her career. And so this course will be perfect for her. It's foundational knowledge in databases. It introduces a little bit of coding as necessary. It also discusses emerging trends, and it's really good for getting her up to date in this area that she wants to move into. Python programming, again, it's introductory. It's you might be someone like I have a friend of mine who recently did it, Ahmed, and he is a mechanical engineer, and he's learned about, well, he'd heard about all these the benefits of automation and being able to automate tasks within Python, and always wanted to learn those skills, but he had no prior coding knowledge, so I had to twist his arm a little bit to do it, and he loved the course. And it basically, he's been able to integrate Python into his workflow, and it's able to helps him to simplify tasks that are repetitive and to do data analysis in a bit more of a flexible way than using software packages. And so the course, I mean, he described the course to me as this was a really good, foundational knowledge of Python that I'm then able to learn more as I use it in the months after the course. So a really good way of kind of opening up a lot of different possibilities for you, whether it's automating tasks that are routine, or even that extra step into being able to do more complex data analysis. And as I just said, I mean, the fact that Excel now has the ability for you to integrate Python into it, to use it within that ecosystem on that platform is really interesting. I mean, Python is a brilliant language to learn. Yeah, last one I'll do then is data analytics, machine learning. Oh, sorry, the second last one I'll do is data analytics visualization. So it might be someone like, you might have seen some really interesting examples in the media during COVID of like brilliant visualizations that made it very intuitive, the spread of COVID and all sorts of things. Those are journalists that work with data, and they have to figure out ways of making it intuitive. Now, that's just one example of the person who might do a data analytics visualization course. It could be someone who's doing presentations all the time, and they really need a deep dive in visualization. But it's basically anyone who uses data for a very practical reason to do it, to present data, present insights, or to make arguments, or to change minds, or whatever it is. And then the last course is data analytics machine learning. So this is integrating AI into analytics. And so you might have someone who's already a data scientist, but they're early in their career. They're using Python maybe, but they're just not using as much AI, or they're maybe no AI is being used at all, no machine learning. So they have some experience with Python, basic data analysis. They want to specialize in machine learning. They want to be able to take on more complex projects to be able to boost their employability, or to gain a promotion. And so this is the kind of course that might be interesting for them, and is covering areas that would be very useful for them. Those breadcrumbs of advancing their career, the supervised and unsupervised learning, the neural networks, how to use it in a very practical way with everyday data sets. And so it's a good course for them. But like, each course has something to offer for different types of people. And it may even be the case that you might start off with one and maybe do one a more advanced one later on that you need for specific reasons. So a simple example there is, you may start off with advanced Excel, and then you may decide to do Python course at a later stage, because then it integrates within Excel. Or you may do a data analysis without coding. And because of that, you've decided, look, Excel is something I'm going to really use much more And so I can then do advanced Excel after that, but you're still able to integrate it within Tableau and Power BI. Because often people will use multiple packages. You might do your data cleaning in Excel, and then you might do your analysis and your visualizations in Tableau or Power BI, and then maybe you'll progress on to eventually doing those visualizations using machine learning and Python. So it's a good catalog of courses, because there's something there for everyone at every stage of your development. So Gary, if you want to start answering some of the questions that have come in.
Yes, I did indeed. We just have here one from Neil. I just thought you'd be a very good place to maybe answer this for him as such. Neil just asked, are the courses relevant to quantitative research for sociology?
Yes, they would be. So that's an interesting question. So
very good question.
The software packages would be absolutely what you would use for quantitative research. For sociology in particular, I mean, my own experience within the universities is that it tends to be an emphasis on Excel for that, for various reasons. So the advanced Excel would be fantastic for something like that, to be able to manipulate that data. I mean, that's quantitative research. The data sets you're using are quite complex, and to be able to manipulate them efficiently and effectively within Excel would be fantastic. You would be less, maybe less relevance for visualization. But then again, the data analysis without coding is quite useful. It depends on the complexity. So if you're doing really complex research in sociology, you probably do have to at some point have some, coding. You probably need to be able to use Python. You probably need to be able to, use machine learning. But certainly there's a lot you can do with Excel. And there's a lot even that you can do with Tableau and Power BI, even though they're not necessarily built for that context. I mean, Tableau and Power BI, they build it for the type of person who's using data for giving presentations and making decisions within a business setting, not necessarily a research setting. So you're really the best answer I can give you is for most research within sociology or research in general as quantitative, it's probably good to have a very good fundamental understanding of Excel. Because if you do need to then take the next step with Python, at least now, thanks to Microsoft's recent change, Python can be used within Excel. So if I was ever to give advice to anyone doing research, it's Excel is great.
Mark, I think that pretty much covers just any of the questions we've just had so far, such like that there as well. Overall, I think it was just that and John's question, which I just got to answer earlier. So I'll reach out to John with the brochure, such like that there as well.
That's great.
Perfect. That right from my side as such like that there as well. I'm not sure if there's much more any requirements for anyone else if you were still here on the call there as well. But as I said there, if you'd like to, you're more than welcome to download our brochure. This will give you obviously access to the brochure, give you a nice overview of our course. But what will happen is that this will be passed to one of our education consultants who would reach out to you there as well. Either myself or one of my team as well will reach out to you and give you further kind of next steps regarding the course. But just obviously to reiterate, I suppose from before, is obviously the discount that is available. That will be available up until the end of October. So it's a great opportunity if it is something you want to use and benefit from straight away. We do find here in the Professional Academy, a lot of our students like to do their courses between August and possibly even September. It's probably the two busiest months in our kind of year or such like that there as well. Because obviously just with the length of them particular courses, especially ones that are 12 weeks, it allows you to kind of finish the course at just possibly a nicer time of the year. And obviously then going into the new year with your new diploma, it obviously just allows you to kind of set up your next steps towards either your current role that you're in, helping your current role, or for a future role that you may have, such like that as well. But just reiterate, that'll be usable for till the end of October, but you can obviously use it for in advance to save it for a November intake you're looking to do, maybe possibly if you haven't got that time. That's absolutely can be used for that. All of our scheduling can also be very viewable on our website. So when you go into the class intake, and you'll see here, enroll now is a little button that you can click on. It'll give you your full calendar of intakes. Some of our classes, as you might see there, are morning or evening, but the majority of the ones that you'll see there will be evening classes. The evening classes are delivered between 6:30 and 9:30, obviously depending on the length of the class. And some of them obviously will be a bit shorter, obviously based on the type of class that you enjoy. But that's pretty much just covers a lot, just sort of recaps just what I want to go through, which is all there today.